Have you ever felt like no matter how much you try to grow, to heal, or to move forward in life, something inside of you still feels stuck? Almost as if a hidden force keeps pulling you back to old wounds you can't fully explain. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, believed that many of our deepest struggles begin with something most of us never question: our relationship with our mother. And until you understand this, true healing remains out of reach. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what I'm about to share could completely change the way you see yourself, your past, and even your future. Welcome to Cognit Haven. From the very beginning of life, your mother is your first mirror. She is not only the one who nurtures you, but also the one who unconsciously teaches you what love feels like, how safe the world seems, and what it means to be worthy of care. Jung said that the image of the mother becomes what he called an archetype. It isn't just about your personal mother. It is about the deep symbolic role of the mother in your psyche. This archetype can be nurturing, protective, and life-giving, but it can also carry shadows, control, neglect, or emotional wounds that shape how you relate to yourself and to others for the rest of your life. That is why your healing depends on seeing this clearly. Because if you don't, you may keep repeating the same patterns without even realizing it. Think about this. If your mother was distant, you might grow up believing that love always comes with conditions. If she was overly controlling, you might feel that your choices never truly belonged to you. If she carried her own unresolved pain, chances are you absorb it without knowing. Jung believed that unless we bring these hidden influences into the light, they rule our lives silently from the shadows. The question is, how do you break free? The first step is awareness. Ask yourself, how much of the way I see myself comes from my mother's word, her approval, or her disapproval? How much of my anxiety, my self-doubt, or even my relationships with others trace back to her influence? Jung warned us that what remains unconscious will show up in our lives as fate. This means that the things you refuse to look at, the wounds you inherited, will keep showing up in different forms until you face them. Here's the truth. Your mother is human. She is not only the mother archetype, but also a person with her own struggles, traumas, and limitations. Sometimes, she may have given you everything she could, and it still wasn't enough. Sometimes, she may have hurt you deeply without even realizing. Understanding this doesn't mean excusing the pain, but it allows you to separate who she truly is from the bigger mother image living inside your psyche. This is where healing begins. Jung often said that healing happens when we integrate the unconscious into consciousness. So when you recognize that your mother's wounds are not the same as your own, you stop carrying them as if they belong to you. You can finally say, this pain started before me, but it does not have to continue through me. Think about how powerful that is. When you begin to see your mother not as a perfect figure, but as a human being shaped by her own history, you reclaim the power to define your own path. You stop chasing her approval as the source of your worth. You stop repeating destructive relationship patterns. You stop confusing love with pain. But here's the challenge. Many of us avoid this inner work because it feels disloyal. We're afraid that if we acknowledge our mother's flaws, we're betraying her. But Jung reminds us that facing the truth is not betrayal. It is liberation. You are not dishonoring your mother by seeing her clearly. In fact, you are freeing both yourself and her from an unconscious cycle. Imagine carrying a heavy bag that you never chose to pick up. That is what unresolved mother wounds feel like. Healing is the moment you finally put the bag down and realize you can walk freely. Let's go deeper. If you constantly seek validation from others, it might be because you never felt fully seen by your mother. If you struggle with boundaries, it may be because your mother never respected your independence. If you fear abandonment, it may be because your mother was emotionally unavailable at times when you needed her most. Recognizing these links doesn't mean blaming her forever. It means understanding the roots, so you can stop repeating the pattern. And here's something Jung emphasized. Every wound also hides a gift. From a distant mother, you may have developed independence. From a controlling one, you may have learned resilience. From an emotionally struggling one, you may have discovered compassion. The key is not to stay trapped in the wound, but to transform it into wisdom. So, how can you start healing today? First, reflect honestly. Ask yourself, which of my struggles feel like they began in childhood? Which patterns feel familiar in my relationships? Simply noticing this is powerful. Second, allow yourself to feel. Many of us numb or ignore these feelings. But Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Feeling the pain is not weakness. It's the doorway to healing. Third, practice separation. This means recognizing what belongs to you and what belongs to your mother. If she projected her fears onto you, learn to return them. If she couldn't give love freely, remind yourself that it doesn't mean you are unlovable. And finally, choose forgiveness. Not always for her, but for yourself. Forgiveness here doesn't mean forgetting or pretending nothing happened. It means no longer letting the wound define you. Remember this. You are not your mother's mistakes. You are not her fears. You are not the wound she carried from her own parents. You are a whole person with the power to rewrite the story. But this rewriting can only happen once you understand how deeply the mother archetype lives within you. Carl Jung believed that the journey of individuation, the path to becoming your true self, requires you to separate from these inherited influences. It is only then that you stop living as a reflection of someone else and start living as your authentic self. And maybe that is what healing truly means. To honor where you came from, but not to be chained to it. To love your mother for what she could give, but to free yourself from what she could not. To see clearly, to forgive deeply, and to finally step into your own life with strength and clarity. So if you have ever wondered why healing feels so hard, why no matter how much progress you make, you keep returning to the same pain, this is the reason. Until you understand your relationship with your mother and the archetype she represents within your psyche, you will never truly heal. But once you face it, once you bring light into that shadow, everything changes. You can finally breathe. You can finally grow. You can finally become the person you were always meant to be. This is your journey. And it starts the moment you decide to see the truth. Thank you for watching this video on Cognit Haven. If this message touched you, remember, healing takes courage, and you are stronger than you realize. Stay with this journey, and you'll discover a freedom you've been searching for your whole life. If you found this video valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to Cognit Haven for more insights. Together, let's keep walking the path of self-discovery and healing.